today. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. Today we have Lynn Brewer from Fort Payne, who's a candidate for City Council. So, Miss Lynn, we are certainly glad to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're going to start off and let Lynn tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll jump into some other topics of the day. So, Lynn, tell us about you, who you are, where you come from, and
Okay.
about your family.
All right. I moved to Fort Payne when I was 3. My dad opened the original Jack's Hamburgers. So if you've ever had a Bonanza burger, that was my
That's
dad's.
the place right there.
Yeah, it was the hangout for a while. And so I actually grew up, I can remember coloring. My mom would bring us crayons and have us color in the back. While she worked.
Somebody had to watch the kids, so you
That's
might as well
right.
be at work where they
That's
are.
right. So I can officially say I grew up in fast food.
Own it and in it, right?
Own it and in it. And so my family has owned several restaurants in town, and that's why small business is a passion of mine. But I have family now that still all have small businesses in Fort Payne, and I do too. I'm back in the restaurant business with Vintage 1889.
And that's a popular place to go, and they have good food too. So I
Thank
guess you
you.
learned in all those years of fast food.
Maybe so, maybe so. Or
Well,
I'm resilient.
Why don't
I'd say that.
You're resilient. There you go. Tell us a little bit about your background of your education, because I was curious about that as we talked just a moment ago.
Okay, well, I did graduate from Fort Payne High School. I was a cheerleader.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and that's special.
Spirit fingers?
Yeah, the whole spirit. I don't think we knew what that was then. We just did it. It didn't have a name then.
My daughter was cheerleader for 5 years, so
Right.
I understand. I was the
Okay.
cheerleader dad, carrying the pom-poms and
yeah.
the signs and that kind of deal.
Good, good. That's awesome. Way to go, Dad.
I'm trying to help out.
So from high school, I went to Auburn University, and as most people know, my dad and my brother both played football. So when it came time to go, my dad said I could go anywhere I wanted, but he would only pay for Auburn.
I never
So-
tried that with my kids.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have tried that with my kids.
Well, it didn't hurt that my brother was a football player. That was kind of encouraging too.
Yeah.
But so I graduated from Auburn with a degree in art education, which when I came back from school, I went to the superintendent then, and he said, "You might as well go back to school. There's no job here and that."
The state just does not fund art in
Right.
our state. It's
So-
sad.
It is. So what I did was I worked with Russell Gully and the Big Wheels Arts Council to get art in the schools. So at least, I don't know how I never ended up getting myself in there,
But
but
you got
I was always
other-
doing something else, I guess. But yeah.
Have to
I
make a
helped-
living though.
No, yeah, exactly. So it never worked out that I taught art, but I've been able to use my creativity other ways.
That's good. That's good. Well, tell us, why in the world do you want to jump in politics? And I can say that because I'm finishing up my first and only term in City
Oh.
Council. I have just a handful of meetings left. So tell us why you've decided that elected office is something you want to pursue.
Maybe I should ask you why you're not. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll talk off camera
Okay,
about that
all
one.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's good.
I was, well, from Vintage 1889, we're in the big mill hosiery, the old WB Davis hosiery mill. And that place was totally empty when I started there. And we opened it back up as an antique mall and then decided to open a restaurant. And I honestly struggled for the first year really badly. And I didn't struggle as bad the next year. Then the third year's better, and we're going into our 4th year now. So I've watched it kind of transform, and through that I saw that, well, maybe we could apply this downtown, and I worked really hard about 2 years ago to get Fort Payne designated as a Main Street city. And
That's a big deal. That's a big
No.
deal.
and hope to revitalize our downtown. And it is working, and we are doing that. And I really just want to see that continue. Not just for downtown, but we're learning so many things through the Main Street program that can be applied to the entire city. The market studies, where the leakage is, what kind of businesses we need to try to get into town, and what people are going out of town to purchase and where we're losing. So I guess one of the main things is we have an architect out of Chattanooga that's donated a lot of time to us. Craig Peavy, kudos to Craig Peavy. If you need an architect,
He's the one.
he is in Chattanooga. He can just sit down and sketch out things, and he has such a vision for what things should be like in Fort Payne. I get excited, and I don't want to lose that. I want to make sure those things, that we can get those moving forward.
Well, you seem like you've already been involved in the workings of city government, because working to get the Main Street city
Right.
is a huge undertaking, and anybody who's dealt with the federal or the state government, things just don't happen.
No.
There's so
no.
many pieces to that puzzle that all have to fit together for you to get qualified for something. And you're right. You have to have a vision for what's coming
Right.
down the road. So that gives you a great platform from which to go. Well, what would you like to see done other than maybe the arts and the downtown district? What are some other goals you've got and things you can bring to the table for people to decide that you're the candidate for them?
Well, I really want to. I'm actually trying to study and learn. I've gone to some economic development meetings. I'm going to a rural development meeting the end of August, and so I'm really trying to educate myself. But I would like to just create paychecks for people. I mean,
Yeah.
we need, unless we have money generating and tax dollars being created, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be a huge industry. We can bring in a lot of small industries. We don't have to hit for those huge Google, Remington, all of those. I think we see through the lack of diversification when we had all those sock
Yeah.
industries. And the sock business is pretty much gone, and we see what a hit we took. We need to diversify and find things that will make us a better, well-rounded city as far as jobs, I feel like.
What do you think will be your greatest hurdle as you jump into this realm of political office? I mean, I know you've thought long and hard about it, because I did the same when I decided to run for city council.
Right.
I'm just wonder, you have an education background, and I just wonder where you think your weaknesses may come from, or your biggest challenges will be as you jump into this realm.
I think probably my biggest hurdle is what my largest hurdle's always been, is I am my own worst critic. And so I'm really hard on myself a lot of times. But I think, and one thing we haven't mentioned is I worked in management for 10 years at Ferguson.
Okay.
So I think that I have a good view of small business and industry as well, because I used to help try to get industry into Fort Payne. With Ferguson, a lot of the businesses came and would go through our facility, like Children's Place, Plasma, and all those. We tried to help get those industries in town, because you can see that as competition, but it's really not.
It's really not.
It's really not. We lost so many jobs through the sock mills that we can afford to have a lot more industry in our town. Too many people are going out of town for making more money, like to Chattanooga and places like that, to try to make more money. And so I would like to try to get those jobs, and I'm really not answering your question. I'm being a true politician, which I'm really not.
Diverting it around.
Yes, but my biggest hurdle is I think that I'm hard on myself.
Well, I can tell you that there's a huge learning curve to jumping into the political realm, or at least there was for me. I had attended several city council meetings and had a perception of this is the way business is done.
Right.
But when you get into the classes that the League of Municipalities, our association that works with elected officials, and they have a bank of attorneys, and they give you all kinds of classes to help you be better informed about your particular role.
Right.
council role is really over the finances and the and the buildings and the assets that you own, and the mayor is over the day-to-day operations.
Right.
But it does take a group working together.
I agree.
I would say one of the challenges that I faced is, as a public school teacher, I thought that I had seen it all and heard it all, and people had been mad at me before. But one of the biggest things that I faced that was really difficult is, I hate to say the word hatred, but when people don't get their way,
Right.
I mean, they don't like you.
Right.
And it's not they don't like you, they hate you
Right.
because you didn't give them what they wanted. So I wonder if that would, you seem like a really nice person, and I want, you've been in the fast food industry and the small business, and you're trying to please that customer.
Right.
And there are ways to try to please the customer, but sometimes you cannot do what they want.
Right.
So you think you'll be able to handle that?
I do. I think I handled it in my role as HR manager I was at Ferguson. I mean, I had to let people go. I had to, bring them bad news a lot of times. But I feel like if we can get our city, if we can have a vision for what we want, and try to get everyone on the same page, you can make decisions based upon that. And either it fits or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that may be a dream world. I don't know, but I'm hoping and challenging myself and trying to keep this in the back of my mind that every decision I make, I'll be able to come to that person that is mad at me
Yeah.
or, doesn't understand why I made it, and try to help educate them and help them to learn why I made that decision. So I know, again, that's probably not
It's
so
good.
much
It's good.
in the
One
perfect
thing-
world, but
One thing I like about Fort Payne government is that you all get to just run,
right,
and you're not running against someone.
right.
And that creates a lot of animosity in a small town.
I
You know.
could see that. I am so thankful I'm not running against a particular person.
Yeah. So can you tell me how many you're actually running?
There are 12,
12, and 5 of those get elected?
yes.
Well, we certainly do wish you a lot of luck as you start that. What do you think is the greatest asset in Fort Payne? What are you most proud of, if you could say, I want to hang my hat on that right there in Fort Payne, Alabama, because to me that's a great thing what you can offer.
I think it's just the charm of the city. I think it's a very charming place. Our city's done well to make us a lot of beautiful green spaces. Our downtown is getting to look better, but we have so many natural resources close by
You do.
that are just kind of like a hop, skip, and a jump. Where I didn't realize that until I opened the antique mall and the restaurant, how many people came from out of town. I would have told you we never had tourists, or we didn't have many tourists, but that's about all my business caters to, are visitors,
Out-of-towners?
tourists. Mm-hmm.
Because we don't, people in our community think we have to go outside, and we could go right in Fort Payne or a surrounding community and find so much of the same things people are going out of town for.
Right, I agree. And we just take it for granted because we've lived here. I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've even done it. So there are people that even move here because they're tired of the beach.
Can you imagine?
No, because we all want to go down to the beach. But
But a lot of times we'll take off to Gatlinburg to go to the mountains, and I'm thinking, we have the most beautiful view if we drive from Rainsville down 35 toward Fort Payne. The views
Right.
of the mountain are beautiful.
they are. They're
And
gorgeous.
I met with the director of tourism in DeKalb County, whose office is down in Fort Payne,
Right.
who actually retired from Kodak, and they would vacation here in the Mentone and the Fort Payne area and decided to make this place home. So we need to appreciate the wonderful things God's blessed us with the parks and the canyons
I
and
agree.
the great food. If you've not been to her establishment, you need to go. It's really good. And the meeting space at the back.
Right. We have an event room.
That was really
Yeah.
cool. Do you have a lot of venues back in there that you invite?
We do. Oh, matter of fact, Friday we're going to have a music, eats, and greet with Lynn Brewer
Oh my goodness.
from 5 to 7.
And you're going to put the
I
best food out, right?
Yeah. It's all the best.
All the
What are you
best.
talking about?
Yes, it is good food. I was invited to a luncheon there, and it was really
Oh,
nice.
good, thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Just trying to keep that building alive.
There you go.
That's my goal.
And if we don't support local businesses, then they won't be able to make a living and they can't be there. And then we've got another empty building in our community that we need to address. Well, tell us about some of the things as you understand, maybe with police department, emergency service personnel, the fire department, the rescue squad, police department. We've had a lot of that on the news about shootings and all that controversy and racial things. Do you feel like
Right.
we're on the right path in Fort Payne?
I think so. There's probably some work that could be done with some of the departments just to make them feel like we appreciate them. That's another thing I think we just take for granted is that they're going to be there, but I don't think we thank them enough and do enough to make them feel appreciated sometimes. I've visited with both groups, and they're a great group of men and women that put their life. You don't really understand that when you talk about they actually put their life on the line, for you.
That's
You
true.
just take that for granted.
Yeah.
That amazes me.
Well, the thing of it is, you don't want to see them when you're speeding through town.
No,
But if
that's
someone's
true.
knocking, trying to break in, you want them there.
No, you're right. You're right. That's true.
So I agree. I don't think we appreciate them enough. Now, Fort Payne has a city school system. So how is that run by the city government, or is that like a separate thing that you guys have? I'm not sure how that works.
It's a separate entity. We have a superintendent, and they have a city board, or
Okay.
a school board. Sorry, it's not a city board, but the city does appoint people to the school board.
Okay. And do you fund them through your tax? Are they a line
Some-
item, or they have their own?
No, we
revenue
do
stream.
support them. A lot of it is from our alcohol sales. I believe 75% goes to them and 25% goes to tourism.
Okay. Wow. That's, well, one thing, I was talking to another person from Fort Payne. They were talking about needing to upgrade the road system, especially around the interstate. Have you
Right.
noticed some of the congestion in that part of town, or maybe other parts of town that you need to address with Aldott or something?
I don't know. The only thing I know that needs to be addressed with Aldott is our little crosswalk downtown. People are a little upset.
Okay.
There's a walkway near the bottleneck
Uh-huh.
that people won't stop for. People won't stop for pedestrians.
Oh, I know where you're talking about,
Yeah.
right where the lanes narrow in the middle of
Mhm.
town.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of, is that a new crosswalk, or has it been there?
It's been there maybe 5 years, maybe
Okay.
more. 5.
Don't you think
6 years.
drivers are just distracted and not paying attention?
I guess so. I personally have never really had trouble. I may have to wait a while. It may take a few cars before someone stops.
Mhm.
But I'm sometimes a little aggressive. I'll go out about halfway and then
Say,
make
"Stop."
the other one, make the other one stop.
You're a traffic
So,
cop. Stop.
I guess.
Well, what do you think would be some of your long-term goals that you could add to your platform? I know we've talked about continuing the downtown city, or is that the correct name?
The Main Street?
Main Street City. I know that's one of your things, bringing harmony back. What are some other things that do you guys go around like from door to door talking to people, or do
Mhm.
y'all, so have you come across anything that someone was a concern of them?
Some of it's funny because I've already gotten messages and emails and things on Facebook about, hey, what about this? What about that? One of them is some abandoned lots, I think, that aren't being mowed and aren't
Okay.
being tended to. So I would like to see our city clean. For some reason, we seem to have a bit of a litter problem. I would love to address that and just hope that people would respect our city more than to just throw litter out. I don't know where. I know when I was in high school, we had an ecology club.
Really?
And, yeah, we got out and picked up garbage. I don't know what happened to that club, but
Well, we need a little more service, you know.
Yeah.
There are lots of good clubs and good organizations that promote community service, but that might be something to consider. I know Adopt a Mile program used to be really big in our
Yes.
area, and
Mhm.
I used to see markers, you know, that a
Right.
certain club was over that mile. So maybe that's something we could promote to come back.
Yeah, maybe so.
Do you think that you'll have a pretty open door policy where people can readily contact you and address concerns? You
Yeah,
seem
I would love
approachable.
to.
I just met you today.
Right.
You seem very approachable and
I feel like I'm a good listener, and I'm usually really good at breaking down issues into steps, you know, to solve. So
I think a lot of people need someone that's approachable and someone who can see the problem and figure out a way to address it.
right.
And try to come up with a resolution. Is there anything that you just think the current administration has just gone way the wrong direction, or you think everything's running fairly smoothly? I mean, is there something you really would like to see turned a different way? I mean,
Well-
that was one of the reasons I ran. There was a couple of things I thought we need to do this differently.
Right.
And you just can't change a organization like that.
Right.
I put the analogy, it's like a cruise ship, and you can start the turn, but it's slow and gradual
Right.
to go in a
Right.
different direction.
Right.
So is there something that made you want to run to change something that's currently a policy or a, I don't know if policy or maybe it's a priority?
I think just having a vision and a plan, like a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and so that we get not only the mayor, the council all on the same page, that we can also get civic organizations and the citizens. They all know what we're working toward for that common goal and keep us going in that
Mhm.
direction. Again, I think it makes it easier to make decisions
Yes.
on some things.
If you know where you're going.
Right. And I feel like that's the only thing that's lacking right now. I think that our former administration, our current administration has done a fairly good job. I don't see a lot of negatives.
Any red flags?
No, not necessarily. I think they could be a little more transparent.
Well, one of the things we've been able to adopt in Rainsville is called a comprehensive plan, comprehensive long-range plan. And so the council and the community have had different meetings where people can come in and have their input.
Right.
And you as a group can come up with a plan to go forward about addressing different concerns.
Right.
Not necessarily mandating every change that's coming in the future, but at least you know where you're going.
Yes, exactly.
You know, without a vision, what is that quote? People perish, and so you got to have that vision. So you're ready to jump on board and start that train. And
I am. I'm hoping. I'm excited. I'm excited about trying to serve and make a difference.
Well, I think that one of the good things about city government is, well, or any particular government, is having a different viewpoints. You know.
Yes, I
And
agree.
we can't all be on the same page and be the rubber stamp that there's
Right.
no I don't want to say controversy, there's no difference of opinion.
Right.
And so I appreciate your art background, your artistic flair, and your small business background, your education, your human resources background. And these are the things we've talked about today, and I just met you a few minutes
Right.
ago. But if you have a viewer today or watching on the internet as they're getting ready to go to the ballot on the 23rd of August, what is something you could convince that voter today to say, you know, I'm the one?
Right.
They're sitting on the fence trying to decide, is it you or person X, Y, or Z, and they're trying to pick their 5. How do you convince that individual to give you a shot?
I would just like to say that I absolutely love Fort Payne. I've grown up here. Actually, I have 4 generations of family currently living in Fort Payne. So I realize that decisions I make will affect all of them. And I want to be a person that serves the people. I don't think, sometimes, and you may correct me, but it's not necessarily my personal opinion, but I need to listen to the people and make decisions based upon what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm able to separate that and make those decisions, I think. And I want to listen. I want to listen to about what people want and what they want for our city. But I do also have, I'm excited and have a vision for what our city could be, and I'm excited about sharing that too.
And so you've heard it here today that Lynn Brewer wants to be a part of City Council in Fort Payne. Very passionate small business owner, been there all her life, and wants to continue to help Fort Payne grow and thrive and be all that it can possibly be. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we appreciate you watching us. Don't forget, you can watch us on Mountain Valley. You can watch any of our episodes on mountainvalleynewspaper.com. We're also on WFPA 1400 in Fort Payne. And as always, on Farmers Telephone TV Channel 6. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.